Well, are you ready? It's here, the grudge match, the revenge streak for the AFC Championship game. It has been an interesting week. High tension, a lot coming off of that Bills game. A lot of talk being out there from the Cincinnati area in general. We're going to get into it. We're going to tell you what the truth is and what's likely to happen and why we shouldn't be, necessarily all that tongue-tied right now. We got a lot coming for you tonight. Welcome to RGR Football. Right off the bat, we want to say thank you. Support the people that support us. It goes a very long way. And there are 4 teams left in the NFL playoffs. Chiefs being one of them. I mean, so only 4 games that you can bet on, 3 games actually, as we get closer to this. And DraftKings, the sports book, the official sports betting partner of the NFL, they have something special for you. It's the countdown to Super Bowl 56. New customers right now can get a 56-1 odds on any team. All you got to do is bet just $5 and put 280 in free bets if your team wins. That's that ratio. If you're a new customer, you get all the experience of the conference championships and the same game parlays. That's an interesting part as well. You got to check that out. Combine multiple bets for the same game into a bigger payout. You get more legs you add, the more money that you can win. It kind of stacks up on itself. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can trust them. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw whenever you want. All you got to do is go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code RGR21. It helps us a ton. You get 56-1 odds on that NFL team. Bet just $5 to get 280. If you use that code RGR21, that's 56-1 odds. At DraftKings, the official sports book, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. Now, you must be 21 or older in New Jersey, Indiana, Pennsylvania. This is for new customers only. So if you've deposited before, you're going to get something, but it's not going to be this deal. Minimum $5 deposit, minimum $1 wager required, and per customer. Restrictions apply, and see DraftKings.com/sportsbook for more details. If you do have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. We do appreciate DraftKings supporting us as we get ready to get into what is one of the biggest games there is. And luckily, it is Thursday, so Chief of the North is going on, and Seth's here. He was trying to get an email in or something while I was doing all of that. But hey, how you feeling, Seth?
Hey, you know the old expression, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean. There's a version of that when you don't do real work, like man work. You actually, you just sit there and type and look at things. And it's something you got time to something mail, time to email. I haven't really thought it through, but I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm hanging it. You were halfway there anyway.
Yeah, I was halfway there. We just got to figure out something that rhymes. I'm sure I'll think of it at some point. No, life is good. I have been working way too much this week just because there was so much to write about with Chiefs Bills. And I know we're kind of, we've reached that point of the week. We're moving more into the next game. But you and I haven't had a chance to talk. So I do have to say, holy crap.
I know, right?
All the superlatives about that game are true.
Yeah,
all of them.
It's been a tight week. Honestly, that was a much better game than even I thought it was going to be. And I've been a Josh Allen apologist for a while.
You have.
I liked him coming out early, and he's actually progressed to the point that I thought he could. But that to be able to go toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes and everything he can do, that is saying something.
Yeah, and Allen made some amazing plays to escape pressure, which is part of why, the Chiefs pass rush, I've had a lot of people ask me about it. I'm like, well, why do you think those plays were amazing? Well, because he had Melvin Ingram. What was one of the best hump moves I've ever seen? Just wham! Just destroyed the right time. I've never seen Ingram use it either.
No.
But I mean, maybe I have. But I mean, he usually sticks with more traditional, looking long arms. And or a little up and under. I mean, I haven't seen him utilize that. And so maybe I'm not watching closely enough. I've only charted 4 or 5 of his games. But man, that's a great hump move. It's the kind of move that when people are like, he's a little undersized, I'm like, yeah. That dude's I would be curious if he grew up on a farm or something.
Leverage pays.
Yeah. That dude is hay baling strong. You know what? Which from being from North Dakota, we all knew those dudes in high school. Like, they were always cool dudes, but they were also like, I'm not going to fight that dude because that dude is on a farm and he will hurt me. But I mean, it was just such an incredible game. But I would say, man, did Josh Allen benefit from the non-existence of Tyrann Mathieu. And not just because Mathieu wasn't there doing his normal stuff, but because he got hurt. And I know Spagnuolo's commented on it now. And Spags was like, well, playing man coverage 95% of the snaps tonight. I don't know how many of them you've watched, but it is snap after snap after snap. It's like, yeah, we're going to play some two high and some single high and a lot of man.
That's it.
That was like, I mean, he like went up to Charvarius Ward after that, was like, feel like you could chase Stephon Diggs around all night? And Ward was probably like, I guess so. And he did a great job. Snead did a great job on him. But I watched the film and be like, wow, what did they do to take away Diggs? Schematically, nothing. Like, there was not, they played aggressive press man coverage, the vast majority of the night.
Yeah, I didn't see much press. Did you? How many jams did you see get done?
Well, for you, it's not a jam unless the guy runs him over.
Well, you must reroute. Otherwise, it's patty cake. I mean, come on.
Okay. So at least patty cake, they were close to the line of scrimmage. I've seen what you view as like a press. It's like, well, did he take a stick and hit him with it? Because if not, that's not my kind of press, which, to be fair, would be effective if legal. What's he doing? He's hitting him with a bat. It's press man, so it's okay.
Right to that edge. That's what I'm looking for.
They were playing close to the line of scrimmage aggressively. How's that?
Okay.
Not aggressively enough for you.
I can't argue with a lawyer anyway, so whatever you like. I'm not going to come up with any alternative there. Yeah. I mean, but I think he also benefited from the competition aspect. Because when you get to watch Patrick do these things in person, I think that changes, honestly, the perspective of not only the opposing defense, but the opposing quarterback as well. And I was just happy to see them both lift their games. I thought it was also very intriguing. Immediately post-game, the first thing that Patrick had to say was about how well Josh played. I expect this to be a long-running contest, and I'm very excited about the future for these two guys.
It was both guys played about as well as you can play. And you usually don't have that. One thing I'm really excited about, I'm trying to find it real quick. One thing that you usually have, like, all these things that someone could have done better. No matter how well a quarterback plays, there's always going to be 10 plays at minimum that they could have done something a little different, a little better. Sure. But I mean, in this case, especially with Mahomes, I'm looking forward. Josh Allen was so good, I'm going to chart that game during the offseason. Oh, yeah. A bunch of people asked me to, because I wrote about Mahomes's because I had to. And we can talk about that if you want. I know I saw someone reference it in the comment section. That's why I was just going to link to it here, because it's unlocked for everyone. Because everyone needs to read this article, and it doesn't benefit me at all. I'm not trying to be selfish here. I don't know how to make
it benefits the people who read it.
It ideally does. I'm trying to figure out a way to link to it and put it in the comments, but apparently I've forgotten how to actually comment.
Wow, that's scary.
You know what? Why don't you just shut up? Anyway, I'll put it in the comments at some point here. Basically, I mean, I called Mahomes the Reaper, which I think he is, the Grim Reaper, the Reaper, either one is fine. They finally found a nickname that I love. It came out organically. It's awesome.
I'm glad you're happy. I stole that a little bit this week too, if you haven't been paying any attention.
I'm rarely paying attention. But no,
I kind of put it everywhere.
It was just, it's the best. It's a great nickname for him, and it captures that he is who he is, because I've talked about that, him being kind of a quiet assassin. He is the Reaper. He is, and so it just works. And I love it when nicknames happen organically and not like, everyone trying to call him Showtime. And it's fun, but that's pushed. It's forced. Nicknames like Michael Jordan didn't have this big thing where everyone called him MJ. It's just people start calling him MJ.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like stuff like that. So anyway, I know we're going to be looking forward, but I did want to go back, and I'm putting it in the comments right now. I called it the Grim Reaper in the perfect game. That is, I've charted every single snap of Patrick Mahomes' career. I charted 4 or 5 years of Alex Smith before that. I've done, 4 to 6 games of Aaron Rodgers. I've done peak Tom Brady, Tony Romo, just to get a creative quarterback. Russ Wilson. I've done probably about 30 or 40 games of other quarterbacks for context. Kyle Orton, because he was a Chiefs. I have never, ever seen a game that good. Never charted one. Ever.
And it was so methodical. Like,
yeah,
I thought I felt for the very first time that I've noticed that Patrick's calm demeanor, which we have seen in all the really tight games that he's had to play, I felt like that rubbed off on everyone else.
Yeah,
I felt like the offense took that on that game.
Yeah, you didn't see any panic. The defense was struggling, although, man, it gets lost because of how the game ended, and I get that that's really what matters. Blown coverages, Hughes and Snead ran into each other, so Hughes falls down wide open. Hughes got cooked on a Dino route that was like Demarcus Robinson must have been on the sideline, like, hey, that's my route, I mean, and look, it happens. They had some miscommunications, but I mean, even on that go-ahead touchdown, I don't think that go-ahead touchdown happens if Tyrann Mathieu's on the field, because I think their communication is just better. If Rashad Fenton's on the field, that's low-key, big deal. Fenton's their best zone defender in terms of assignment savvy. He's a good tackler. He's solid in man. They miss him when he's out because odds are it's him out there and not Mike Hughes. And I like Hughes, but he can be roasted in man in a way that Fenton always puts up a fight. So I just don't see Davis doing that. But anyway, the defense low-key actually did a pretty good job getting some stops early. There's a reason why the Bills hadn't put up 30 when the fourth quarter started.
Four punts.
Yeah, they got 4. They forced 4 punts, and they weren't cheap punts either because Allen was playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
So the defense does deserve some credit for holding. Man, they scored like 30 points. When a quarterback's playing that well, 30 is like, okay, it's good enough. But I really do just have to. I really have to push it. I cannot say enough. And I did finally. I put it in the comments there, a link to the article. It's all unlocked for everyone again, so I don't benefit from the. I'm not trying to shill my website, but I really think you'll enjoy reading that if you're a Chiefs fan, because I kind of explain my methodology. And I've never watched a game where a quarterback combined just a methodical, ruthless operation of the offense perfectly within structure, being accurate with virtually every single throw, having tremendous pocket presence throughout, and creating a ton of yards. I've never seen a quarterback do all of those things at an incredibly elite level. And part of that is because usually you don't need to do all those things. Usually, if you're operating the offense in a really highly efficient way, you don't need to create a ton of yards because usually you're winning, right?
Yeah.
This was not, the Bills did not play a bad defensive game. They just got beat. It was like that conversation where you have talked about, like, when the Chiefs offense is playing its best, they cannot be stopped. That game is like exhibit A through Z of that, because this is a team that was built to beat the Chiefs, playing the type of defense that is designed to beat the Chiefs. The only thing they were missing is a Bosa, right? Because they've got a really good, quick interior pass rusher. Quick interior pass rushers give them problems. Oliver, man, he's a stud. He can play. They didn't have a stud edge rusher, but they got a pair of good ones. But I mean,
and as a collective, they rush as a front pretty well.
Yeah, as a collective, they're a very, very good pass rushing team. They've got good guys in coverage, and they just couldn't stop them. So I had to cover all that. I know we're forward looking, but holy crap, what a game!
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it comes down to. I used it as well. In fact, folks, I see all your super chats. Thank you for them. We are going to get to your questions and super chats. We're just going to go through our thoughts here as we start, but we will get to that. We do have an hour. I do want to share with you guys because I didn't get to see it, and I've been kind of all over it. I've spent a very busy week this week playing with Photoshop, and what you got was these Reaper shirts.
Ooh.
And these Believe shirts. Believe 13, that's what I'm calling it. But Seth, I'll have to get you one of these because the Reaper ones are kind of cool.
The Reaper one is pretty cool.
We've got a bunch of stuff. And so like these are some of the things that I've been holding back, and I just needed like the thing to connect it. So I had half of these designs ready. And I just had to plug in Reaper. So it was good timing, Patrick. Thank you.
So awesome.
I appreciate it very much. So if you guys want to support the channel, you can grab some of these. That certainly does it. You can come back and do the super chat thing like we're going to do here in a little bit, where we answer your questions. If you do super chat us, whatever amount you choose to do that, we will answer your question. Just please ask something or make a comment that we will then comment on.
Yeah, tell Ryan he looks nice. Whatever.
Oh, nobody has to do that. Let's not start lying to each other, but it's going to be fine.
What if you do?
Well, then something's gone terribly astray. Not my brand, buddy. You're the good-looking one. I'm like Ringo in this course. Yeah, well, okay. Well, we can argue about that as we go.
It's like the line, you know how we've talked about, like if McCole Hardman's your fourth best receiver, you're in an incredible position. If he's your third best receiver, you're in a good position. If he's your second best receiver, that's going to be tough, except sometimes. And if he's your best receiver, you're in trouble. That's me. If I'm the best looking one in a room, we've got problems. I mean, you know, maybe 40 pounds ago, I was a handsome fella. Now it's hidden somewhere among all of this.
Oh, dude, I'm outgrowing you, so don't you worry about it. It's gonna be fun. I almost had to get 2 seats on the plane down to Mobile next week, which, by the way, folks, I will be remote all next week from Mobile, Alabama at the Senior Bowl. A lot of draft prep going on there. Okay, so that said, it comes down to how do they learn from their mistakes without overreacting. I think the overreaction is the thing that I'm most concerned about, because 266 yards and 3 touchdowns, that's something that gets defensive coordinators fired. You can't ignore that. You can't, in my opinion, just keep going, hey, we're going to do what we're going to do, and that's who we are. So the thing that I'm concerned with, and I want your take on, is when you do that, the adjustments that you have to make, I think in the back of your mind, you have to keep in mind, we have to address this. We have to limit it, but we can't put everything into taking it away, because then we're going to open ourselves up to everything else. And they do have an ensemble cast behind Ja'Marr Chase that can actually hurt you as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Higgins and Boyd can play. It's kind of like how teams, I really believe, like with the Titans, when Derrick Henry is healthy, part of Derrick Henry's superpower isn't just how good a running back he is. And he's really, really good. He moves the needle in a way a lot of running backs don't. Although he still, I would say, he moves the needle almost more with how defenses choose to play the Titans because of him. Whereas I think the Chiefs at times, they've said, we'll just let Derrick Henry run for a bunch of yards, try to limit that one big cutback 70-yard touchdown, because that's a lot better than letting Tannehill throw for 350 on you on play-action bootlegs. And so there's a similar thing there in a way that Ja'Marr Chase can affect the game, in that if you throw too many resources into one guy, you better be playing a team that the quarterback isn't very good, or they don't have any real alternatives. Now, I will say this. You can throw a ton of resources into stopping Chase within reason, in part because they have such a glaring weakness on the O-line that allows you to attack in a way you maybe wouldn't be able to against a more complete team. But for sure, that can get someone fired. Like, that's like, this was like an all-time performance against us in week 17. We're barely 3 weeks removed from that. Like, we're like 25 days, 26 days, however many days. It's like you have to show you learned a lesson. Doesn't mean you have to change everything you do. So I think there's actually a couple super chats about that. But that's what I wrote about. The third thing I wrote about this week was keep it simple, stupid. Understand you have a really good pass rushing front four. And the Chiefs are that at this point. They're really good. Melvin Ingram's playing out of his mind. He's the second best pass rusher on the team right now.
Yeah.
You're playing against an offensive line that you know you can dominate, because Jones already did it once. And I don't think they have the horses in terms of the players. And honestly, I'm not sure about their O-line coaching and even what their offensive coordinator does, because they don't do a lot, in my opinion, to protect that O-line. It's like, well, we're running empty again. It's like, but you can't block them. And
right.
And it's constant. Like against the Titans, I know it worked out for them in the end, but that's only because the Titans couldn't score. Like,
Burrow got hit 13 times last week. Only 9 of them ended in sacks.
Yeah, and hey, man, good for Burrow for gutting through that, and he keeps firing. But that's not sustainable.
No.
And the Titans' defensive pass rush is good, but it's not. This isn't, the 2019 Niners pass rush. I mean, they're good, but they're not great. And so you've got a matchup you should be able to win. Take advantage of that. Keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs got pressure on several snaps last game where they rushed 3. They dropped Jaron Reed into a shallow coverage,
which I love.
It's hilarious. And Reed's kind of spry back there. You can tell he's done it before. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. And all you're doing there, right, is you're just preventing that quick throw. You're dropping to a spot that the offense likes to dump off the ball. And then when the quarterback looks up, he sees red. But even with 3 guys, because the Bengals O-line isn't maybe particularly well coached, and Burrow's a young quarterback, so maybe didn't see what might happen there. So you had 3 guys standing around Frank Clark and Jones and Ingram winning one-on-one matchups. Like, you can't have that, but the Bengals have that happen. So keep it simple. Just keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Don't galaxy brain it.
I'm even more intrigued now because the secret weapon is back. So you can literally line up in a 4-man front and drop Colin Saunders to the linebacker level.
Oh, yeah.
So you can play 7 DBs. You see what I'm saying?
He is back.
He is. He got activated.
You know what? That's helpful because people will forget. Low key, now the defense was struggling. He was having a good season.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's going to be hard to get on the field. Well, no, because just more bodies is a good thing on the interior. Tershawn has come on, but him and Wharton, and he's a guy who actually has the size. He doesn't have the same strength that Noddy has because Noddy's a tree, man.
No one does.
But he does have the size to at least maybe take in a little bit of that for Noddy to swap out a little bit. I mean, it's just another body that can do a variety of things. He was executing some of those stunts pretty well. And so that's a really good thing. But it's just one more reason, like, you can win that matchup up front. I understand that Spags is going to Spags. He is going to blitz Joe Burrow. And that's okay. They got Joe Burrow more. We talked about this after the game. They got him multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew had him dead to rights on a sack. I think it was Rashad Fenton had him dead to rights on a sack. Where Burrow, he's a really good young quarterback, but he's in his second year. Spags is a really good blitzer. He is an excellent coach of these things. And there were multiple times where Burrow just didn't see it, but they didn't finish.
There were also times when it shouldn't have happened, too. It was up and down. 3rd and 27, you don't need to blitz. I'm just telling you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we covered that ad nauseum. And I think that's where the fear of the fans comes from, is this idea of, are you going to do something just because this is what you do, rather than adjusting? Because the Chiefs could lose this game, and it wouldn't be a disaster if it's because, T. Higgins goes off, or Burrow just makes incredible plays like Allen does, or the defense, kind of stinks, or just things happen. Maybe Mahomes has an off game somehow. It's literally never happened in the playoffs, but whatever, right? That's not a disaster. That's, hey, you made the AFC Championship. It's really hard to do what they're doing. There's a reason they're the first team to do it 3 years in a row, what they've done, let alone 4, hosting the AFC Championship game. That's so hard. By the way, don't lose sight of how historic this is. This is one of the most successful 4-year runs already in NFL history. Already, we are at that point.
And I'm guilty of that. Like, I didn't react enough to it earlier in the week because it's like, okay, they got through this. It was exciting, but now they have this other thing to do.
Yep.
For me, it's got to come back to, that is really successful. And we have a couple of things. I want to run one by you now, and then we will get to your questions, everyone. But tomorrow, Dan is doing the game plan video tomorrow. We may do it live if I can join. So be prepared for that. And we'll lay out a couple of other things. But I did a lot of research in the last time that they met. And as I went through the shells and the blitz percentages, they made it home on a little over 40%. But the interesting thing to me, the best shell the Chiefs defense put out there against Burrow that game was cover 2-man. Something that they've run a lot of, and teams early in the season were picking them apart in. That's what was most successful against the rookie in the last game. And I feel like that's something that they have to go back to. They have to disguise it. But I do feel you have to have a safety over the top of Chase, and he has to be paying attention whatever side he's on.
Right.
And
it's not middle of the field cover 2. You've got to shade to Chase's side. And that's what I was going to say is it's a disaster if Chase does that to you again.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is, how did you let this happen? It's similar, like for the Bengals, if Chris Jones tears up their interior line again, that's like their O-line coach and offensive coordinator have a lot of answering to do. Now, I get some of it's personnel, Their offensive line does not carry. I don't think they have one guy on that line. I haven't charted it, but I don't think they have one guy on that line that's an above average pass blocker.
Yeah.
And that's tough. Especially along the interior. You got multiple guys that are below average. But Chase doing that again and helping them go shot for shot with Mahomes, that's unacceptable. And that's like one of those like, holy crap. Like that would be to me. And I think Steve Spagnuolo, even if that happened, I think his job is completely secure for what it's worth. But if it were me, it wouldn't be if something that bad happened.
If Chase goes off for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns again, Vic Fangio, welcome to Kansas City.
Well, yeah, because there's multiple really good defensive coordinators, and Spags is a really good defensive coordinator. But that is like, this can't happen. Sorry. So
and you can't
I think
say
Spags
at this point that's just the players. Yeah, and not making adjustments for 4 quarters. If that happens again, you can't just lay it on the feet of the players because you have to help them.
Yeah, it's not Charvarius Ward's fault. He's not an alien. Charvarius Ward has manned up a lot of really good receivers. Jamar Chase is a different type of player. He really is. He's like a smaller Megatron, and he is smaller because Megatron. Good Lord, what a
he's barely 6 foot.
Yeah, but he is like
he's not a beast.
He plays like it. He's just he's freakish with contested balls and his skill with the ball in his hands. So, but yeah, I know we've got a million super chats and we're already halfway. Let's do this. Let's charge through.
We will get into them. Gold Towel, thank you very much. This game will be won by the defense. 2-word safety help. I think we're all on the same page at this point.
Right. And Matthew back is a big deal again, because even playing too high with man coverage, that means that if you're playing man coverage, that's usually like 3 of your corners are doing that and you've got 2 guys high. That still means you've got other guys in coverage doing some goofy stuff. And the Chiefs are good at disguising some of the robber stuff, some of the middle of the field stuff that can mess with people. So I think they should do a lot of that.
I agree. And it requires Matthew being there. And guys, he practiced. He was going to get checked out post-practice again. I have not seen an announcement yet.
Yeah.
We think he's going to make it. If he does, that's exactly what you weren't able to do last time. You weren't able to do last week. You have to be able to disguise and move it around. And that robber role, if Joe Burrow is able to adapt and you come out and you're showing him cover 2 too high, maybe you're going to a 6 on a shaded half or whatever, and you're trying to play over the top of Chase, he will adjust.
Oh, yeah.
And when he does, it allows Tyrann Mathieu to drop down into that robber, shift Juan into that single high, understanding that you still have to be focused on Chase, but that's the opportunity to take the ball away.
Yep.
Rasta, thank you very much. Mixed in a couple of non-super chats here too, folks, but rest assured, all your super chats we will answer. Thank you very much for the support, everyone. Are you worried about Spags won't change his coverages? Is there a little bit of cringe in there for you?
No, I think people underestimate how deep Spags' coverage playbook is. He gets a lot of flack for that, and I think that particular thing is not warranted because when you watch, I mean, they do all kinds of stuff on the back end, and it's one of the reasons why I think L'Jarius Sneed struggled a little earlier this year. And I think that's one reason why I think wrongly they hang on to certain guys because they think, well, this is pretty complicated. And these guys know this in practice, even if they don't always execute it in real time. But no, Spags has a really deep coverage milieu. I don't know. But wow. that definitely wasn't correct. But so I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about not having the numbers. I'm not worried about the coverage schemes being bad. I'm worried about them only having 5 guys back there because he can't help himself.
Yeah, that's not helping himself. That's my concern as well. Because at the end of the day, especially you get back to the corner, you go back to your instincts, and that's when I think it gets worse. Stevie, how are you? Hey, thanks Steve. For the super chat. Not wearing Raiders colors. We like that. Does that bode well for us on Sunday? I think it makes a rut. I think that's good.
This is my lucky shirt.
No, then we're home free, folks. That did it. Judge, thank you for your support. Bought the new Reaper shirt. Glad you did. Should be here by Super Bowl. Rock and roll. Yeah, Teespring, they'll make a batch and then they'll make another batch. So as you order them, you'll get put into different areas. But he still doesn't like Joe Burrow. Okay, that's okay. I think Joe's fine. I liked him as a player. I like him as a kid that's got a really good arm and confidence in himself. I think the SEC being loud thing was a mistake. He'll back. He's already backed off of it some.
It's something he said months ago, and man, Cincinnati fans are mad at me over. I mean, obviously he didn't say, "Oh, the Chiefs fans can't bother me." Like the tweet, I quote tweeted it, and the quote was there. It's like, "Oh, Chiefs fans, look what he's saying." It's a joke. Like, and people are like, how dare you? You're misquoting him. This is the problem with mainstream media. I had someone say that to me. I'm like, they're like, "How dare you rate?" Someone added The Athletic. Like, pretty disappointed. I'm not sure I'll be able to continue my support of The Athletic if these are the types of stories you do. I was like, I tweeted something. This isn't a story.
Right?
Like, relax. Everyone needs to relax. And
everyone
now,
in
but if it
Cincinnati
makes
is pretty
Chiefs fans
fired up.
scream, yeah. If it makes Chiefs fans scream a little louder, and just, hey, if you're attending the game Sunday, I've seen the prices for those tickets. Don't drop that kind of scratch and go home with vocal cords. If you don't want to scream, watch from your living room and give it to your loud cousin or whoever you know will freak out that whole game. Because I do have a feeling, I don't think Burrow is a dude that's going to crumble under any kind of pressure. He's played for national championships. But there's a big difference between playing in the divisional round in Tennessee or playing in the wild card round at home and playing at Arrowhead in January against. I mean, that is a completely different ball game, and I don't think Cincinnati fans traveled like the way Steelers fans do. Maybe they do.
They want to think that they do, though. I'll be very interested to see just how well they do, to tell you the truth. We'll find out.
Bills fans didn't. I mean, some of them were there, but they didn't travel like Steelers fans do. Almost no one does, except Vikings fans that won the 2019 season. That was insane.
That's true. That was crazy. Judge, thank you again. We appreciate you. Matt Francis, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Go check out Seth's article. Do it.
Link is somewhere in the comments there. It's one of my favorite of all time to write. And I go through every single snap and chart the things that really measure quarterback play, like pocket presence and accuracy of throws, multiple reads, creating yardage, that kind of stuff. And it's the best game I've ever seen a quarterback play. I'm curious how Allen measures up. I think Allen had a few failures in there that I just don't think Mahomes had. It was basically error-free football while playing an incredibly high level as a creator too. Normally when you have to be a creator, that leads to more errors. And normally when you play more machine-like, you don't create as well. To do both of those at an elite level in the same game is just absurd.
For right brain, left brain. That's crazy. Can't exist in one head. Matt, thank you. We appreciate you, buddy. And folks, if you want a little bit more, we had a problem with Sean's video last week. It's in the members section. You can join over there. You'll see a number of folks here are, like Matt Francis, one of the members. And if you want to get in the Discord where all the hardcore members hang out with Stevie and Gooch and Aaron, our moderator, who built that thing, along with FLBB, thank you very much, by the way, this week. You can get in there. You just got to send me an email for the Discord membership. And that is right here at rgrpodcast@gmail.com. Then I can get you added. I am a little bit old school in that direction. I will get it figured out for the new mentality and technology and stuff in business. Chad, thank you for yours. As always, good to see you guys. You as well.
Good to see you, Chad.
Hello. Do it, Kelsey. Do it. How impressive was that to hear in real time? It's one thing to know that they're communicating, but to hear it literally out of the cadence.
I've never seen anything like that. At that high leverage a situation. Now, I already know that there's a few times every game where the Chiefs let Kelsey just do whatever he wants.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool, and it's one reason why I hope the Chiefs go all the way this year. Because otherwise, stuff like that tends to get lost in time a little bit. Although I think that moment, I don't think that'll get lost in time. I think one day when when he gets his gold jacket, and he will. That man's on his way to first ballot Hall of Fame. I think that'll be one of the things they show, because it's really cool for people to see something and then for it to get talked about more than we've talked about a lot, that Kelsey deserves credit for being one of the smartest players in the league and a guy who just sees the game. Everyone credits Mahomes for it, and they should. Mahomes is unbelievable. But one of the reasons Travis Kelce, I think, even when he starts to lose a little bit of explosion, starts to lose a little bit whatever, he sees the field differently than anyone else. And it's just hard to compensate for that. You can't play him correctly. And that was really cool. And so hearing that, like that trust, chemistry, connection, that was so cool to watch live.
Well, and I think it also gives you the communication factor and how you can do that on the field. And folks, they're not the only team that does this. It's just they do it at an elite level to recognize something on Kelsey's part, to communicate it to the quarterback, for the quarterback then to see the next time they line up, identify the same stance out of that coverage, and then turn it to a go. I mean, that's high level stuff. Even the greatest of all time, Joe Montana, didn't do that.
Yep.
And yeah, I said it again. You see how I did that? Zach, thank you. How do we get pressure on Burrow without compromising the secondary? You send 4 every now and then. You send a linebacker blitz. No more DB blitzes. They sent Willie more than 3 times last week by my count, and it works. He can do it. You send him in
Willie's great at that. I mean, I wouldn't mind if they sent Snead in once or twice.
Yeah, but send Boyd's open.
He's such a good blitzer, though.
I know. But me personally, I'm sending 5 guys between the tackles is what I'm doing. And honestly, with Nick Bolton, I'm sending him too. I'm just sending him on a delay.
Man, I can't wait for them to start. I can't wait for them to start using him as a blitzer more often.
Yeah, I'm ready. What schemes do you like to see the Chiefs use? I like it when they can mix up some 6 and they can drop the robber too. I don't want to see like straight cover 3. I've seen a lot of people advocating for that this week, and I just don't think that that's a solution.
I mean, I personally, they did pretty well with just 2-man coverage. I think they should play a lot of 2-man and mix in some robber. I mean, I do like, with Fenton healthy especially, I like how they play zone. And I think you can protect yourself a little bit from some of those absurd catch and run risks. So I'd like to see them explore that in a little bit more, playing a little more aggressively at the line, especially with Higgins and Boyd.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Kansas Axolotl. I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure. Legacy game for Mahomes. You're absolutely right. This is the golden age of Chiefs football, and it is juicy. You are right, my friend. And I still feel this is Act 1. I mean, let's be honest. They win this game, they're in 3 straight Super Bowls. Who else is in that kind of atmosphere?
There's been I actually last year was working on something, trying to figure out the most successful 3-year stretches in NFL history. And they're entering an era that is just almost unheard of, depending on how this goes. They're already, again, 4 straight conference championships with 2 Super Bowl appearances and 1 Super Bowl win. That alone puts you with maybe a dozen teams total. And the only reason some of those teams are in there is because they won 2 Super Bowls, even though they didn't reach the conference finals 4 years in a row. So they're already in rarefied air.
Yeah, that's exactly the term I was going to use too. Thank you. Appreciate it. And thank you, Tom. Appreciate you. Was at the game Sunday in 118, row 11. The one word, epic. Voice was almost gone at a total blast. Burrow was absolutely no clue about crowd noise. He has a clue. Let me tell you. SEC, they get pretty loud.
Yeah,
but he hasn't been here. Let's not forget. In fact, I had to tell somebody this on the radio. I've done 12 radio hits in the last couple of days, and they're like, "Is it really that loud?" I'm like, "It's not just the loudest stadium in the league. It's not just the loudest stadium on the continent. It's the loudest stadium in the world. Period." Let's not forget that. Okay,
right. And I would just note that with SEC stuff, they've got bigger stadiums and that kind of stuff, but college games, there's always a ton of seating reserved for opposing fans too. I mean, it's just a little bit different. It's just a little bit different. Yeah, there's a lot more balance there. It's a lot more. It's not 50-50, but it resembles more. So that's what made that 2019 Chiefs-Vikings game have almost like a college atmosphere, because it was like the crowds kind of competing. And it both got really loud. That was fun in its own way. Now, it's not something I'd want to see happen too often, but it was interesting. But that is a big difference. In an SEC stadium, it might be 20% opposing fans.
Yeah.
That's not how it goes in Arrowhead, except very occasionally. And I don't think this week, in preseason, or in a really unique game with the Steelers or something like that. I just don't see that happening this weekend. Maybe it will.
I don't care how loud you are, except for one spot at the ear hole of the quarterback. However many decibels you have there, you win. That's what it is. Tom, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Rasta, do you think they'll use Clyde and Jet more to run and use play action? I like how hard the Clyde ran. I don't know if they're going to use him more, though. Do you?
I think they might keep using him more just because they're doing some of that insert, in terms of having, the tight end coming in, and it plays well to his strengths. And he's running angry. Like he is.
Yeah.
If you think Clyde hasn't heard some of the stuff that gets said, I mean, he had a few plays where he's just like, no, I'm just not going to get tackled. Like even he's kind of unique. He must have just crazy strong legs because he'll have 3 or 4 guys and the play gets stopped because, he can't go farther, but he will not go down. He just refuses to. So, I mean, I think it's going to continue to be a mix of Clyde and McKinnon, and it should be because they bring out the best of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I would. He did it in college too, where he would drag a pile of defensive linemen. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Red, I like 13 seconds too. That's why I did those Believe 13 shirts. Because I'm not ground shakingly pessimistic about some things, but I like the number 13 as a cosmic kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I just like that it was a 13. I like prime numbers. I'll just tell you that. Don't play poker with me if you don't like primes. But so I'm glad you like that too, Red. Cody, did Schrager ever get back to you? No. I haven't heard from him yet. I'll tell you this. If somebody clip this out and send it to him. Timestamp is 4:1:10. Peter, I will supply the entire crew, cast, and everything of Good Morning Football with Chiefs Reaper shirts if you all choose. You just let me know. My DMs are open. Thank you, Cody. Would you rather play Rams or Niners in the Super Bowl? What do you got?
I'd rather play the Niners simply because we've seen that play before, and they're a good team. I don't think they're as good a team as they were in 2019.
I don't either.
I think styles make fights, and I think they've got a good chance of beating the Rams. But I think the Rams, in terms of the styles make fights stuff, I think the Rams are a tougher matchup for the Chiefs because Jimmy Garoppolo cannot go shot for shot with Patrick Mahomes. He cannot do it.
That's kind of where I'm at. And honestly, two sides of the coin for me, one particular matchup, L'Jarius Sneed against Cooper Kupp. I want to see that because I think it'll make Sneed better. But I think right now Kupp has the edge.
Oh, yeah.
And that could be a problem for the Chiefs.
Right. Whereas with the Niners, obviously everything they do in the run game and with Deebo Samuel, it's a big deal. But they're still a team that's reliant on their defense to hold the opposing team to between 18 to 24 points. And I just don't think they can do that with the Chiefs. They've got a great D-line, but they're not as good. I mean, the Buckner's not there anymore. Armstead's playing great, but Armstead was there in 19 as well.
True.
They're a really good pass rushing team, but they're not as good as they were 2 years ago. And the Chiefs' O-line is more complete than it was a couple years ago. And so I think the Chiefs match up better against the Niners. I think they can beat either team.
Yeah, I do as well, but I agree with you. It's an easier matchup for the Niners. Thank you, Judge. Quinn, thank you. Do you think I should buy tickets to this game or should I wait until later this week? I have no idea, Quinn. I think they only get more expensive as you get closer to game time.
Sometimes you see a pretty big drop like the day before because people are,
really?
third-party sellers. Yeah. I'd wait until, if you've waited till today, I'd wait till Saturday. See if you can get someone desperate.
That's a man with experience. I have no clue. So, Matt Plymouth, thank you. I'm glad you guys are digging those. If you guys have other things you want to see, just shout at me. I got creative with this one because I used to be a graphic artist and stuff. So there's a little bit of art in there, and that always makes me have fun. So, glad you guys dig them. Stevie, did Seth really compare himself to Hardman? Yes, he's quick and wiry. That's what I'm calling it.
Wiry. He's wiry.
He is wiry. I'm a big fan of power running. Can I get some I formation in the game instead of screens on 3rd and 1, please? My butt puckers every time. Zach, I understand you. And honestly, if it were my team, I'd probably do the same. We ain't going to get that.
No,
what you're going to get is the next evolution of Mike doing fullback dives, likely in the B gap this time.
Man,
and then they're going to do some. I know, right? And then now they're going to do something even funkier off of it because I don't think they can go back to that Blake Bell option play.
You know what? You don't do that to the short side of the field, for one thing. And Blake didn't execute it well. He didn't press the line at all. It was clear it was an option from the moment he snapped the ball.
Right.
Had he pressed the line and then waited to pitch, I think that play had a decent shot. But anyway, it was to the short side of the field though, which it just I actually have a bigger problem with the fact that they handed the ball off twice.
Short side pitch place.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Honestly, and that you're right. That play could work, but it has to be on the goal line less than a yard, not a yard and a half, maybe even longer than that.
Yep.
On that particular fourth, but
and that's just that's a lot to ask. So yeah,
it is. It's tough. I know he was a quarterback, but he hasn't been one for a while. Did you hear that Juju Smith-Schuster wants to sign with the Chiefs next year? Yeah, I heard it. We heard it last year, right? He decided not to. I'm sure he'd love to be here. He's staring himself right now at a chance to go to a Super Bowl if he had done the opposite decision that he made. So I'll bet he wants to come back. I don't know that I have any interest. Do you?
I mean, he looked all right, and it's just tough to say. Roethlisberger's been so cooked the last couple of years that I don't want to judge Smith-Schuster on that. He's had some problems staying healthy. I just
why wouldn't you judge him though? He chose to go back to a quarterback that was cooked, and he knew it.
No, I mean judge him not like personally. I mean as a player.
I question the decision making is my point, but
sure. I think he seems like he's kind of a goofball, and I don't really mind that. I do think he's got a really good skill set for what the Chiefs could use. I just worry a lot about reliability. I don't want someone who's going to flash it and then not be able to, do it week in and week out. And honestly, even if they did sign Smith-Schuster, I hope they draft a receiver in the first or second round anyway. I want them to double and triple down on Mahomes. We're seeing now there's no ceiling for the offense when you have Patrick Mahomes. And so double and triple down. Try to score 40 a game because you can. There's a ceiling if your quarterback is even like a good quarterback like Derek Carr. Okay, I like Carr all right. He's a good quarterback. He's not a great one. There's a ceiling with him. There's a floor too. Whereas with Mahomes, there's really no ceiling. However good you make everything around him, it will get that much better and more consistent. And so I like Smith-Schuster as a player. I think his skill set fits well with what they need. I'd rather maybe Allen Robinson's like, crap, this year didn't go the way I want. Boy, would I like to remind people that I'm awesome because I think Robinson's a better player than Smith-Schuster. So
I'll give you $5, Allen. Come on over.
Yeah, or like Godwin or someone. I would love to see them just break the bank and have everyone freak out that they're doing it again. I'd love it. I'd laugh my butt off. I'd love for them to be like, who we need is Adams. Just something insane.
Right, right. Devontae is going to be a free agent. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So the next T-shirt will be 177 or bust, people. That's where we're going. Chad, thank you again. If Hughes plays this week, can he help? Can he please focus? To be honest, I feel like this is going to be a complete game this week. I hope that it is. Mike had a rough go. He clearly getting tangled up was one thing. Getting run into by Snead was another thing. This is the X factor that we don't always talk about with Tyrann Mathieu. All that stuff you saw late, like the last Gabriel touchdown, was because Dan Sorensen moved two other defenders and gave him new jobs because Tyrann Mathieu wasn't there to do stuff right the first time. It bugs me beyond belief. I think Mike Hughes is a little bit more susceptible to some of that outside influence just because he doesn't have the same confidence within the system as some of the guys who've been here more than 11 or 14 games.
The Chiefs are at their best and have been all year when it's Snead, Ward, and Fenton.
Yep.
And Hughes has had some good games. It's going to be up and down with him because he is talented, but he's just not as good a cover corner as Fenton. Not as consistent, not as good a tackler, not nearly as good in zone.
And I know right now today, I can walk up to Fenton and I'm like, I'm glad your back's better. Don't let Chase off the line, and he can get that done. Mm-hmm. Hughes cannot.
No, Hughes
if
cannot.
It's all out.
Fenton can annoy the bejesus out of Chase at the line. And the crew they're getting for this game is, generally speaking, historically been a pretty hands-off crew. So don't count on Chase getting called for those push-offs because on reputation alone, he's not going to get called for that at this point. That's just how it works. Them's the breaks. You don't get called for some of that stuff when you're considered a great receiver. That's how it works. But also, you might be allowed to harass him a little more at the line than they were last game, or on his route.
I'm hopeful for that.
Yep.
Tom, thank you. I told the kid next to me that 13 seconds we got this, same as the Texans game. This team QB have zero quit in them. Angry, focused, determined. 13 seconds. I like that, Tom. And like I said earlier, it felt like what we always see from Patrick kind of expanded the bubble and was all over everybody on that offensive side. Evidently, people are trying to contact me. Things are going off. Don't be alarmed. This is not DEFCON 1 or nothing. Spag said in his presser that we are who we are. We're going to do what we do. Yeah, I mean, take nothing that's said in a press conference as game plan. I'll just tell you that point blank. Most of that is showmanship. So,
Yep.
Will he in the end? Maybe.
Maybe.
Find out. Love the Avatar doc. Appreciate that. Looks good. Do you keep Melvin over Frank next year? In my opinion, yes. But it's not even keeping. You have to sign Melvin to a new contract as well, and he might have something to say with that.
Yeah, and he's going to want a decent payday. Here's the thing: he's played quality football as a defensive end, and the only thing stopping it from being like a really big contract is his age. Now that matters, but you're probably going to need to pay him more than people think, especially if they make it all the way through. Now he seems pretty thrilled to be where he's at.
Yeah,
but yes, I mean, Clark is not going to be a Chief next year, barring him being willing to make some pretty big concessions on his contract. And if he does and he stays, great. He's contributed down the stretch. But Ingram has played better than him down the stretch. Since his arrival, really. Clark had a stretch there, 4 or 5 games where he was playing really, really well, and Ingram's just been more consistent.
Yeah, I mean, and more explosive. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
it's really not that close. Rick T, 13 seconds. Why didn't Mahomes do a quarterback draw? Dak. Okay. We're going to speed through these here, you guys, because I know we're creeping up on the end here. Can we afford Tyreek Hill?
Yes.
Hefe, yes, they can. It's going to be complicated, I think, by the Orlando Brown contract, but yes, they can.
When the Chiefs suddenly have $20 million extra in cap room because of the term guaranteed mechanisms, don't be shocked.
Yeah, no, that's designed in the Mahomes contract to constantly give you that relief.
Yep.
DT, thank you. Go Bengals. Just kidding. Super Bowl, here we come. See, you had people there. I knew where you were going with that, buddy. Thank you for the support as well. Same thing to you, Chris. Thank you. Glad to finally make a Chief in the North live. Yes, welcome. This is what we do. One of the best Chiefs YouTube shows out there. Thank you. Hope this continues in the off season. Yeah. It sucks because I hate talking to Seth all the time, and he hates money, and that's just the way that it rolls. So, that's sarcasm.
I'm gonna take a screenshot of that for contract negotiations.
Okay, you just keep that up. All right, we'll work something. We'll work something out. How's that?
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Unless Seth departs, you'll see him. Maybe I can con him into letting him see you more.
Well, Ryan knows where I live now, so.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Yeah. So
Judge, thank you. Skyline Chili sucks. I don't know what that means.
Me neither.
Who is Skyline Chili? Now I got to go look. Seth is Googling. Okay.
I'm Googling.
We'll come back to you, Judge. Skyline Chili. I'm guessing that's in Cincinnati.
It's a restaurant company.
This is how lawyers.
Oh, Skyline Chili is it a Cincinnati thing? It's a chain of Cincinnati-style chili. So there's Cincinnati-style chili. Interesting.
Huh.
You know what? I like good chili, but apparently this chili sucks, according to the judge.
I like green chili, so I'm going with Judge. Thank you, Judge. Appreciate you. Jeremy, thoughts on Cam Thomas? Just very, very initial. I don't have any notes. I have not watched his film yet at all, but he is on my list. I will get to him, Jeremy. Sounds like Juju wants in next season. You all for it? I mean, he's got to be cheap, to be frank, especially when they give Tyreek his contract.
Yep.
Stevie,
if they're gonna spend big money on another receiver, which they can do, they would just have to sacrifice elsewhere. I would want them to spend big money on a proven, consistent, like a Chris Godwin type, which he ain't gonna.
Where's number 17? Yeah.
Or if they want to pay $20 million to another receiver and Tyreek Hill, fine. See if Adams is willing to do it, and let's light this whole place on fire and burn it to the ground. That to me, you don't pay premium money for non-premium players when you already have premium players. You got to be careful about that, because that's how you can get into salary cap trouble. It's about who you pay, not necessarily what you pay.
Okay. I'm totally with that. Would you answer Stevie's while I fix my light?
Oh, yeah. Stevie says, if you can afford tickets Sunday, you can afford the Chief newsletter and afford to buy some subscriptions for your friends and family. Yes, I appreciate what you have to say, Stevie. And that is an option. If you look at the website, there's an option to give people subscriptions and all that stuff. And anytime you go, you can always look up bit.ly/Seth really hates money. Seth really hates money. That brings you to the coupon where you can subscribe for $12 a year. Most people that I know subscribe. This is, I can't give away the numbers because you're not supposed to do that in the business. But let me just tell you, I know the retention rate of people who re-up after the first year. I think my subscribers are happy with the price and with the product based on that.
I am.
So I think thanks, Ryan. So I think if you subscribe, I think you will be too. And frankly, I'm the type, honestly, if someone hey, I thought I would like this, I don't. Will you Venmo me $12? I'll say sure. I mean, what do I care? Hey, fine, take the money back. You didn't like the Big Mac. Okay.
Right. You're going to live. Okay, that was Stevie's. Thank you, Stevie. CJE, thank you. Appreciate it. Love the avatar, by the way. That one always gets me. Babies with mustaches. It just seems so wrong. Darius, how are you doing? Thank you for the support. Apparently, Patrick's heart rate is measured every game, and he was most calm during the biggest moments. Literal ice in his veins. That's really interesting to know, Darius. I'd love to see more on that. If you have a link, drop it in the chat, will you? Or in the actual comments so I can find it.
Yeah. What was this? Are you being facetious or is that real? Because that would be cool.
I know there are a number of players that are tracked biologically, polars, straps around the chest and everything. Right. I'd be really interested to see that data.
Well, that is one of those things that some of these guys, they're just so calm. People talk about that with Rodgers, with Brady. They might freak out competitively on the sideline, but during a play, they're just chill. Jazz, my wife, pointed that out during the overtime drive and stuff. She was talking about it before the final snap. She goes, it's so weird watching him. He looks just way calmer during the play than when he's on the sideline. It's for him, it's I'm happy here. This is where I live. And everything's just slow for me. And and she's right. This is just some people, those moments, they just, and they just kind of look around and watch. It's the Kevin Costner funny. Clear the mechanism thing in For Love of the Game.
Which I love that because that movie in particular, I think really illustrates that part of it. My sports psychology professor when I was in grad school was very much about the commonality of elite professional sports athletes and sociopaths to be differential in feeling comfortable they're in control of what's about to happen. And that's the interesting part.
That is interesting.
I know it's a little creepy, but it's crazy how those goes along. I got a question from Aaron. I will get to that, Aaron. I put it in the queue. I got a few more super chats to hand out, and then we will get that. Thank you. Darius, great information. Thank you for that. Stevie, Ryan likes prime numbers. Odd. Yes, most of them actually are.
Yeah.
Let's see how that works.
That's a good
Leon. Well done, Stevie. And I'm glad that new dad is doing well, and so is everybody else.
Yes.
We need Sorensen and Neiman to get hurt. Not real bad hamstring, but that's the only way they're going to stay on the sideline.
They have a role. Should they? I don't know. But
I'm not going to mess with Carter. I don't want him to get hurt because then everybody else is going to get hurt in front of him. Then you'll have no linebackers. I'll fix the car. It's okay. Hefe, who do we sign in the offseason? Who goes? And can we afford Hill? I think they're going to let a lot of guys go. They're going to let Pringle test. I think Pringle will make it back. They're going to let Robinson test. Hardman's under contract. Hilday will extend. Try and think. Do I think anything else specifically? Do you, Seth, in the wide receiver core?
I mean, I'm curious. I'll just put it that way. They really can. I've looked at the cap stuff for a while. They can do what they want. It might cost them a little bit elsewhere, but they can do what they want. And so I'm actually going to be writing more about the salary cap stuff after the season. I'm trying to live more in the moment.
Good for you. Good for you. Okay, cool. I look forward to that because that's something I try not to get into too much.
It was Bobby, by the way, who tweeted that about Mahomes.
Okay.
So it is legit. Unless Bobby
so I'm guessing
he's making stuff up.
No, I doubt it. I wonder if he had access to the data or he just knows it was going on, and found out. But that's really interesting. Thank you, Hefe. Joseph, sorry. You may have answered this, but who's better, Bengals D or the Bills D? I know rankings don't always tell the whole story. You're absolutely right. They don't.
They don't. In this case, they do.
Do they? Because I don't even know where they're both ranked. I know that the Bills front is better.
Right. Well, the Bills, the number one scoring defense, they're not the best defense in the NFL, but the Bills they've got a better defensive front. Hendrickson is better than any one guy that the Bills have, but and Reader is playing really well, but he's not necessarily a pass rusher. But the Bills have a better front. I think they're better coached by a fairly wide margin, and that matters so much more on defense. But I mean, without White, it's a little closer in terms of like the secondary and stuff. But I think the Bills are significantly better defense. Now, remember, styles make fights, not necessarily just talent. So that doesn't necessarily mean the Chiefs are going to, light the Bengals defense on fire. But keep in mind, with drop passes, some other stuff that held them back in Week 17, they still hung up 30 points fairly easily.
Yeah, and that's what I come back to as well. And for those of you that are really worried about the offensive output from the Bengals, they went to the Titans last week, not a stellar defense, put up 19. So it is about that style, and can you slow down your matchup problem with that one guy who went off last time? Knock on wood.
Yeah.
JC, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Will, thank you. If the Chiefs could draft a linebacker and sign a linebacker in free agency to replace both Hitchens and future coach Neiman, who would you like them to sign and draft? I would take Devin Lloyd all day long. And then I would probably sign somebody like, I don't know, who would you sign, Seth?
I mean, I haven't looked at enough linebackers in the league to provide anything other than like, Campbell's awesome, but he's gonna break.
He is a free agent. Yeah,
exactly. With the Packers, that is. If people don't know what I'm talking about, he was unbelievable in the game at Arrowhead. I mean, he was so good. But he's going to break the bank. He's going to get paid huge. And he hasn't really been this guy until this year. So
True.
That's always a little leery for me. Like maybe it means someone's a little more scheme dependent, or they're not always there until contract year.
Honestly, the same thing happened with Blake Martinez. When he was in Green Bay, he went elsewhere and did not live up. So that's fair.
Yeah.
Tom, thank you. We upped our game thus far in the playoffs. How much would we have benefit had we had Jody Fortson, who has had the role this time, Pringle or D-Rub? I think Jody was on an upswing. Mm-hmm. I think you would have seen him play a bigger role, kind of the role that we had hoped Noah Gray was going to get to, but we really haven't seen anyone as the backup tight end really emerge. I think that would have been very interesting.
And we're seeing a little more of Gray right now. But mm-hmm. they were running some more like 3 tight end type stuff too. But I think you'd see more of Fortson than you've seen of Bell or Gray, and maybe even more than both of them combined, because he's just got a skill set that they don't. And it doesn't mean he's got like this elite skill set. He's not Darren Waller, but he is pretty fast, and he is a guy that can make some of those catches where he can moss guys. And Mahomes was getting comfortable with him. He was getting comfortable saying, I'm going to throw you that ball. And he's a guy that'll win that matchup more often than not. He snatches the ball out of the air really well and plays it really well. I'm excited for him. Hopefully his recovery is going well, because I think the team's going to give him every chance to be a contributor next year.
I certainly hope so. And I'm guessing this recovery is going to be fine. Like, the modern rehab, I think, is great. I'm not concerned about that. I misclicked things. Sorry. Oh, we're back to Hefe. Sorry about that. Bill, Tom, is that the one we just answered? Yes.
Yep.
I do think that Pringle is going to contribute more than D-Rob is here in the last couple of games.
And he has. I mean, yeah, he's stepped up, and that's been a big deal.
Agreed. Drunken Irish or drunken German. Sorry. Thinking about my family. My fault. Angry drunken wife is working. So here goes. Would you prefer as your next OC, and who do you predict Andy will go with? Did Eric get an offer that I don't know about?
Yeah, I don't think Eric's going to get an offer. I think if Eric does go somewhere, I'm pretty sure it'd be Kafka, right?
Yeah, that's my thought as well. Yeah. I mean, you could maybe bring Nagy back if you wanted and make him like super passing game coordinator guy. I don't know.
Yeah, and you know what? If they decide to bring back Nagy, that would be great. He works well with Andy. I think you've seen the limits of creativity. I personally like the idea of them bringing in guys that challenge Andy a little bit to continue to
Mhm.
break the mold, rather than guys that are more like Nagy. I just don't think there's a lot of outside of Andy Reid's sphere. There wasn't a ton of creativity with him, but man, he did do a great job in Kansas City. So
Yeah.
I hope they bring him back because the more smart minds you have in the room, the better.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that leads to better overall play or options for the play. Derek, thank you. I am a groomsman
Holy
of wedding on
crap,
Sunday.
Eric.
I'm sorry. Who decided that? Did they not look at the calendar? Sorry.
Like,
Um,
are you best man? Like, who is this? Like, is this like your
how many
brother
removed are
or
you?
your cousin? Because I gotta be honest. Now, maybe I'm 36 and selfish, and I've gone through wedding season phase in my life. But I gotta be honest. I'd be like, nah, dude, I can't. But now it's a little late in the game for that. Like,
I tell
there's
you what,
probably a bridesmaid that doesn't want to be a bridesmaid. Let them knock one of you off and just call it a day. People have too many groomsmen and bridesmaids anyway, right? I attended a wedding that had 8 of each. And I was
really?
like, yes, it was like a choir was standing up there, which I understand this is an old man rant. I get that. But it's like, what are we doing, guys? Like, there's no way you are close with all these people. No way. And, like, I wanted to stand up and be like, someone tell me their middle name, just like be obnoxious. I didn't. But I don't know,
But you wanted
Derek.
to.
I got to be honest, man. It starts at 5? Like,
I
man.
think you just got a case of COVID, brother. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
No, it
I mean,
sounds to me like you tested positive, my friend.
or at least a close contact at the very least.
Yeah, maybe that's a
Because
little better.
I'll tell you this:
don't want to bug
I've
people.
performed at more weddings than I care to mention. I wouldn't want to stand up in one on purpose, especially on this Sunday.
Ugh.
So, our fingers are crossed for you, Derek. Good luck. Let us know how it turns out. Thank you for updating me, Aaron. Thoughts on Juju wanting to sign the Chiefs? Okay, JC, I think I got to this earlier. Just took me a while. Apologies. We're a little behind. We'll see if it actually comes to light and if there's reciprocal. Once you turn them down, I don't know if they go back to him, to tell you the truth. I don't know. We'll find out. DT, could you imagine Hill, Adams, and Juju?
You wouldn't get all three. I mean, just because it'd be pointless to spend money unless Juju wants to come for a league minimum. But
in here, I can imagine it just fine.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. No, yeah, it would be great. It would be that the reason I mentioned Adams, and Adams is going to go somewhere and break the bank. I'm almost certain of it. I don't even think he'll necessarily follow Rodgers. I think he'll see what Rodgers does, then he'll hit free agency and get paid like $25 million a year, more than the Chiefs really probably should.
Their OC just got hired in Denver. They were a player for Rodgers before. They have Sutton. They have a number of guys. They have Patrick.
Judy.
I like Tim Patrick.
Yeah.
Judy. Yeah. I mean, that's
they could definitely do some stuff. Although I'm not sure where they're at cap wise and stuff with having just broke the bank on Sutton a little. But I would just say, well, Rodgers likes a challenge. He's kind of a dude like that. But it is kind of funny. I like thinking about the Adams thing just because, boy, howdy, would his skill set be perfect to blend with. Well, when his skill set is awesome. So, I mean, that's helpful. That's like saying, like, man, whose skill set would be great would be A.J. Brown. It's like, well, yeah, that's true because he's an awesome football player. And it would, basically any, Jamar Chase, great fit. It's like, well, these guys don't know how this game skill sets. I know, but being awesome is a great skill set.
It comes in handy that way.
But if the Chiefs decide to get crazy like that, it wouldn't bother me. It genuinely wouldn't. It's like, we're going to spend $20 million on Hill and someone else. Okay.
Can't take it with you. I ain't too worried about it.
Yeah.
TV contracts are coming. It's going to go up. Yeah. If Clark's happy with it, I'm happy with it. And you guys are right. There is a chance that that Devontae Adams gets franchise tag. I'm not so sure that they really want to do it, though. From folks that I know in Green Bay, I'm not sure that they want to do the disgruntled franchise taggy kind of thing. So we'll see. But yeah, it's all going to be interesting. Darius, thank you. Nick Wright brought it up on Coward's podcast. Not sure where he got the info himself. It looks on my Twitter feed like Kyle has done the dirty work for us. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate that. So folks, go check out my Twitter feed. I will retweet when the show's over here. Thank you, Darius. Appreciate you. Casey's, thank you. Any concerns about the refs being biased if we play LA in LA? Nah. Similar to Bucks. I don't think it was anything to do with being in Tampa last year. I think it was just that crew had not come together and decided to let anybody play anything that was worth a damn. But I know we got smashed, so I can't blame the refs for the Super Bowl loss. I mean, Yeah, I mean, there are some iffy calls. Bashad Breeland's call comes back to mind, but we're not going to relive that. Sorry. I digress. Aaron, we're getting near to the end here, folks. So, Aaron Morrow, our fearless mod, if you have anything else for me, please let me know. And folks, give Aaron a hand in the chat, would you? He takes care of all this stuff that I can't do, or we would be a flying mess around here. Aaron Todd, thank you. Seth, do you see when Pringle is targeted this year, the QBR is 137. That's pretty impressive. I did not see that. What do you think?
I've seen that. The one thing with that is going to be a little bit skewed because he's had such a small sample size and some of those catches have been touchdowns. So QBR and that's not QBR, that's not ESPN's rating. That's actually pure kind of old-fashioned quarterback rating, which are two different things. I know it sounds weird, but QBR actually maxes out at 100. But I get what you're saying, Aaron, quarterback rating. I think that's skewed a little bit because of the touchdown ratio there. And that's one of the problems with quarterback rating is that throwing touchdowns is obviously a big skill, but it's also just a reflection of being targeted in the red zone at times and having a few designs goes away. And when you see a lot fewer targets, 1 or 2 touchdowns can really spike that up.
Gotcha. And yeah, and time evens things out. You're going to drop off if you're not catching touchdowns.
Right.
Is much of the ratio. I'm with you.
Right.
Okay, we got one more. Aaron, thank you for this one. Excellent questions, everyone. And we do appreciate you. Thank you for all the support in the super chats as well. And if you guys do want to go check out all the gear, all the new Reaper gear and stuff, I'll give you guys the code right here. AFCCG. Type that in. You're going to get a discount off of whatever you order from the RGR store tonight and through the Super Bowl. I'm just going to leave that up for you guys. Whether they win this week, which I do believe they will, I'm feeling good about that. And last super chat, and we are out of here because Tom, thank you. Great job. Give me your game score predictions and who will be the X factor for the Chiefs. Would you like to start?
Sure. I think the Chiefs cover, and I think they put up 33 plus.
Okay.
So do with that what you will with the score. I think, you've got all the usual suspects, so I'll go outside one of them. I think McCole Hardman will be an X factor again because low-key, he's been really important in these playoffs.
Yeah.
He was the only dude that showed up on offense in the first quarter against the Steelers.
Right.
And man, that touchdown run against the Bills, man. And that's the reason, people are like, why is Hardman still getting all these steps? That's why. Because he is a unique player who can do unique things that no one else, not named Tyreek Hill, can do. And so I think he's an X factor because when McCole Hardman makes a couple big plays, the Chiefs win. Just because it adds too much more.
It is a lot to cover here. That's a very good point. I like that. I'm going to revise what I told, was it ESPN LA? I can't remember. I talked to somebody earlier in the week, and I thought it was going to be tight. I still think it's more than a touchdown, more than a field goal win. I think the Bengals are driving at the end to try to score a touchdown. I think they fail. I think the Chiefs win 31-27. And I think they go to this Super Bowl. That's what I think.
To the Super Bowl. We're 1 win away from the freaking Super Bowl, man. I said freaking. I know it. Sorry, kids, if you're watching. I shouldn't have. But I
want another one.
It is just so crazy. But I mean, it is so crazy. Do you remember? We are not that far removed. Remember how psyched we were when they won? And this is with Alex Smith at quarterback. This was not that long ago when they won their first playoff game in like 20 years or whatever it was.
We're not that far from a year where a wide receiver didn't score a touchdown.
Yeah, the world is completely different. And I hope people enjoy this. And that's why I'm actually starting to get nervous about this game just because it's just this. There's so much at stake. And it's a cool thing.
Oh, man. Last super chat. We got one extra one. Appreciate your efforts with the RGR team. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. Call me Greg or Major Mac. Major Mac I can get down with. I like that. And shout out to Mayor Slick James. We had a lot of conversation. Appreciate you showing interest in the channel, Mr. Mayor. And thank you to all of you. So tomorrow, the game plan video. I might have something for you in the morning, too. You're going to hear from Stevie and Gooch. You're going to hear from Sean on the weekend. If you missed Sean's last week, it is up in the members. You can go check that out. Let's see. What else do we have? We have a ton of stuff coming. I will try to be ready. We will do post-game, as always. Seth, what do you have between now and game time?
I think I am going to catch up on all the lawyer work I did not do. Well, I did a lot of lawyer work, too. I just ended up with a bunch of new cases. Day jobs, am I right? So I don't know if I'm going to come up with another article. I might, just to kind of talk about what's at stake and get some of my nerves out. But odds are I'm gonna stick with the things I wrote about Kelsey, Hill, and Reed earlier in the week, and then the Reaper story on Mahomes, where I broke down every snap, and then how the Chiefs can win, kind of some keys to the game, keep it simple, stupid stuff. So I'm probably going to stick with those three things until Saturday when I get antsy and I write something else.
There's always that option, right? So
Always.
Okay. That's what we're going to be doing. Check all that out. Hit the RGR store for the Reaper stuff and all that. And I'll put the link. It is already down in the show notes. And remember, AFCCG will get you a nice discount. You guys have a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.